Rock Chat with Trace.
This interview I'm talking to the Bad Day Blues Band. Hello and thanks for doing the interview.
Hi Tris, a pleasure, an absolute pleasure to speak.
How are you doing?
Good, yeah, the sun's out, been busy writing some songs and stuff, it's all good, yeah.
How did you start out in music?
I started out in music. I started playing the bass guitar when I was about 11 because I really liked the Beatles and a lot of 60s music like Cream and Jimi Hendrix and stuff, and I wanted to sound a bit like that, so I started playing when I was quite young.
I know you briefly just mentioned it, but who are your influences?
I'm a big Beatles fan, but I like Cream, Eric Clapton, love Eric. Yeah, all the blues guys, but I really like B.B. King. A lot of famous bass players, because I'm a bass player and a singer, so I like people like Jaco Pastorius from Weather Report and Jack Bruce, obviously James Jamerson, and a lot of like soul stuff as well. I like all kinds of stuff, really, all kinds of stuff. A lot of old school stuff, more so than the modern bands. Although I do like some modern bands, some modern rock bands. There's a really good band, Tris, if you've not heard them, called Rival Sons. Great band, love them. So bands like that, who I guess are kind of old school in their sound anyway, but they're modern band.
How did you come up with the name?
We used to go down a blues bar. There's a very famous blues bar in London, in Soho, called Ain't Nothing But the Blues. It's a great bar. And we used to go down there quite a lot and play on the jams and meet all the other musicians. So we started doing that, and then we thought, oh, we need a name that's kind of representative of that, that's got the word blues in it. So it just kind of, we wanted something quite cool and gritty. So it was Bad Day Blues Band. That was it, really.
Table by the Wall is your debut album. What is personally your favourite song on the album and why?
My favourite song is the last one, and it's called Lunar Rooms. And I like it because it's not the same all the way through as with like the majority of songs. Kind of it starts slow and then changes tempo midway through. A little bit like, if you know the song Proud Mary, the very famous song, Tina Turner had a hit with it. We wanted a similar vibe to that. So it starts off kind of slow and sexy, and then it kicks into gear. And I like that because it's a little bit different to your standard kind of rock blues songs. So yeah, Lunar Rooms, which is the very last song on the album, which I love. That's my favourite.
Tell me about Wandering Man.
Wandering Man. God, yeah, that's one of the older ones. Yeah, well, how did we write Wandering Man? I guess it's kind of about, as the title suggests, a kind of a lost soul, a wandering chap who's a bit lost, going from town to town, from lady to lady, and kind of not settling. It's a bit like that, really. It's a bit of a Rolling Stones kind of vibe to it. Always one of the more popular ones when we play that live. When we do a live gig, that always goes down really, really well. Yeah, Wandering Man, good tune, very, very well written tune, if I do say so myself. But it's it's a good one.
Nick is now joining us. Hello, Nick.
Hello, Tracy.
And thank you ever so much for joining us.
You're welcome. Good to see you. How are you?
Not too bad. I've just been asking Adam what are his influences. So what are your influences?
Well, my influences, I'm sure he's gone on about Cream and Steve Bruce and all this kind of business, isn't it? He likes all that. My influences are more rock than his. So being a child of the 80s, I grew up, and the key moment was Appetite for Destruction. When I heard that in 1988, I think it was. And that kind of like turned me from like the chart music that I'd grown up with to true kind of like thinking that was my calling card. And from there on in, just kind of went down the rock route. So that was the entry. And then from there, it was like Aerosmith. And then you get into like Motley Crue. And in the late 80s, it was all these kind of hair bands like Poison and all that kind of stuff. And then that kind of went. And then rather than kind of going forwards into grunge, I didn't like grunge. I didn't like that kind of style. I liked the kind of big guitar solos and all that kind of stuff. So I kind of went backwards and kind of went back through to like The Who, Led Zeppelin, through to like Beatles, Stones, kind of that way. So it was always like guitar, kind of song-based bands with big guitars. But yeah, that's kind of it. So Slash and Axl was like the main influence. And to this day, it's kind of why the Les Paul was the guitar that I wanted to play. And literally, I've just got back into vinyl. I've literally just got like the old, I've not listened to them yet, but like Illusion, like 1 and 2. Yeah, so I'm gonna put them on because like you realise now, don't you, how good vinyl is compared to like MP3s and all that.
I was just asking Adam about Table by the Wall. What is personally your favourite song on the album and why?
So Living on a Prayer is very good, isn't it? We like that one. uh, no, that's a different album.
Different.
My favorite song is Lunar Rooms. It's the closing song on the album, and I wrote the kind of guitar riff at the start, which is like a very bluesy kind of strat based kind of motif, which I was really happy with. And then and then Adam wrote the words to that, and then it kind of goes into a more upbeat, all out rock number, and it has a solo in it, which I'm very kind of pleased with how that came out. And it's just like a lively one, and it's kind of, when it comes on, it's like, I don't know, that's when you miss playing live, is songs like that, because you can hear it like on the CD and you think, oh man, it'd be so good to play this kind of and see people enjoying it. But that's my favorite one. Adam, what did you say was yours?
Same one.
Was it?
Yeah, look at that. That's a good sign, isn't it? That we both like the same song that we're playing. That's a good sign.
We should do something with that then.
Yeah.
What was it like recording at Abbey Road?
Fruit bowl.
It was. That's
fruit.
my main memory, Trace, from that was they give you a free luxury fruit bowl in the studio booth, which was very, very nice. Very nice. In fact, though, do you know what annoyed me? I've not mentioned this before, Nick, but I'll get it off my chest now. Obviously, we were in there with John, who was our previous drummer, Trace, who, you know, if you know John, you wouldn't have him down as a fruit kind of guy. But yeah, he had more than his fair share of that fruit bowl, I can tell you. I kept a close eye.
It wasn't the fact it was fruit. I think it was the fact it was free.
Free. Yeah.
That's why he got involved in that.
I've never seen him eat so much fruit. He was all over it. Yeah, very nice fruit bowl is my memory, Tress. Nick Peck, over to you. Abbey Road, your thoughts?
Oh, the coffee vending machine was my highlight. I think they had all the options, like cappuccino, a latte. You know, Tracy, it was very special. It was very professional, and you walk in and you kind of see the posters on the wall of all the history, and then we got to see. Well, we didn't go in there, but we got to see Studio 2, like through the window in the door, and then obviously, you know, the history of what went on in that room is crazy. But I think they were called like a film score or something. I think it's used a lot now for like film soundtracks. So there's a lot of posters for like Star Wars films and Lord of the Rings and all this kind of stuff that was going on at the time. So I don't think they do that much kind of band stuff there. But you know, it was good, and it's funny listening back because not the whole album was recorded there. Like about 5 or so songs on the album are recorded, and you listen to those ones, and I can hear the difference in quality of the recording. And there's kind of like there's more room in it, you know. Yeah, if money wasn't an option, it would be there a lot more.
Rumour has it you're the bad boys of blues. Care to explain?
Rumour has it. Well, Adam, that's a quote of yours, isn't it? So you go with that one.
No idea. Well, I'm just drinking my bourbon here. I think you can handle that one, Nick.
Well, I can tell you about why Adam is the bad boy of.
Okay, I'll answer that one then. I'll answer that one. I guess we get up to a bit of mischief, you know, Tress. You know, that's shenanigans when we're playing live. You know, there's gigs and stuff. It's blues, it's rock and roll. You know, we're not all Boy Scouts. It's not all boring kind of Ed Sheeran stuff going on here. You know, it is what it is. You know, you'll have to come and see us to get involved, won't you? To know what it's all about.
Where do you prefer to play? Festivals or indoor concerts, and why?
Festivals, for me. Basically, the bigger the better in everything, in every aspect of everything for me, obviously. Yeah, bigger stages. Logistically, I prefer it because I like a bigger stage because there's more room and you don't feel trapped. You don't feel kind of you've got to stay on your spot or in a certain area. You can move around. You know, when you play like a smaller blues club or something, you might be like kind of shoulder to shoulder with Nick there, and you can't move, or you can't move your guitar, or you might hit someone on the head or something. So that can be slightly restricting. And because you're restricting, you're not moving so much. You just play differently, you sing differently, and it just comes out different. So a bigger stage, there's more freedom, a bit more space, and that just comes out in the way, like in confidence and the way you perform. Stuff like we've got some stuff online of like when we played like the Isle of Wight festival, which is a big stage, and obviously there's a lot more movement. We're all moving a lot more, and that just adds something to it. It adds something to the energy of even how you play a note. You've just got a bit more energy, a bit more freedom in it. just prefer the bigger stages for me.
Kind of agree. It's I mean, there is something exciting though, like when the small venues go well and it's packed and everyone's had a drink and everyone's kind of like in a good mood because it's like Friday night, and we're playing well and we're getting on well, then they're really good fun nights. They are a lot of fun. But yeah, I mean, I think the bigger stages is also kind of representative of things going well. You can, and there's a satisfaction in kind of like thinking we're doing all right. People are enjoying this, so it's kind of like it's a satisfying feeling to be able to play a slightly bigger stage.
Would you class yourself as a predominantly a live band?
Yes, because to be honest with you, if lockdown hadn't have happened, then the album probably wouldn't be out because we'd be gigging. And the reason we've been gigging for, I think, 3 or 4 years and not put an album out of any substance before is because, because of every month it's just been gig after gig after gig, and that's just kind of what we've done. That's what we like doing, really. And that was always the intention to start with, was to become like a live band. So, but like I said, the lockdown situation has kind of forced us to put the album together, and it's kind of kept us busy, which is good. It's kept Adam off the streets, so he drinks indoors.
How, if at all, has your music changed over the years?
Yeah, how has your music changed, Adam?
Has it changed much? I mean, I don't know if it has really. I mean,
not really. I think our influences are all kind of like cooked into, like I said earlier, for me, like 80s and before, 90s before. Adam is 70s kind of and before, so our music isn't any kind of revolution or anything. We've done the stuff that we've been into since we were growing up, so I don't think it's changed much. I mean, this band is probably, for us two personally, this band is probably slightly different because we have a harmonica player, which kind of like gives it a different edge to rock bands that we've done before. But in terms of how we play and what's influenced us, and it's just guitars, bass and drums, isn't it?
I think we've matured, and I think we've realised, I think we see the bigger picture in a song now. When we were younger, probably everyone's quite selfish in their own instrument, aren't they? But I think we've kind of cottoned on to the fact that ultimately the song's got to come first, and if that means like simplifying the bass or the vocals or the guitar or the harmonica, heaven forbid we simplify the harmonica, it makes for a better song, which will make for a better record or a better live performance. So that's the only change I would say that we've done, is we've realised the bigger picture in the song. We put the song first, I think, a bit more as we've gotten older.
Yeah, we've learned, I think when we started, we filmed a lot of the stuff of the early gigs, and you can see that everyone's at the front and everyone's turned up really loud, and there's no light and shade with it. It's just like everyone's playing for themselves. And I think it's just we've honed it over the gigs, so we know when to step forward, when to step back. There's a chemistry that exists now that it's like, if Adam does a certain thing, then it's like, okay, that's where we go, and there's certain like nods and there's certain beats that we know to hit. I don't know, it's like anything, you refine it, you practice it long enough, you start to have this kind of, like a chemistry to it that wasn't there to start with.
How have you been engaging with fans during lockdown?
Yeah, how have you been engaging with fans?
How have we been engaging with fans? Well, with the album coming out, that means we've ramped up all the promotion around that quite a lot. So that's been a lot of fan engagement. So like, we got, one of our labels is a Japanese record label. So we've had to engage in a different language for a start with a lot of new fans in Japan, which has been very interesting, very funny. And yeah, and a lot of the English fans as well have been great. And America, actually, and Brazil as well. We seem to be quite popular in Brazil. So yeah, we've been trying to post a lot on the socials, keeping that regular. We've dabbled in the live stream stuff, but because we're a full-on kind of live rock and roll type band, we haven't quite got that down how we want it yet. So that might be something that we do in this kind of next year coming up, maybe work that out. If proper live gigs aren't going to happen, we might be forced into doing something live streamy to engage with the fans a bit more. I don't know, but yeah, we've done quite a bit on the socials anyway.
What are the future plans for the band?
Gonna have another drink, can he? That's what.
I'm gonna have another bourbon. That's my future plan.
Your future plan, Trace. We don't know. I mean, who can predict anything at the minute? There's no plan. I think all you try and do is try and be progressing. As long as we're progressing, that's all that matters. I remember when we started playing festivals and you'd see the poster and you'd see our name right at the very bottom. Like, and I remember, I think I said to you, I was like, the aim is just to try and increase that font. Like, and that's all we're trying to do is like every year try and get that font a bit bigger because it means that you're doing better. Yeah, there's no point. Music, you can't plan a career in music. You just keep doing it. And then if people like it, they like it. If they don't, do something else.
Tennis.
Go and play tennis or something.
I'm very good at tennis.
You are very good at tennis.
Excellent serve, Trace.
Yeah, you got your own bat and everything, haven't you?
Got my own bat under the stairs, which I never use anymore.
Where can you get the album?
Well, the question should be, where can't they get the album? Because they can get it everywhere. Everywhere.
Yeah, it's the iTunes, Spotify, illegal downloads, bargain buckets, anywhere that sells music, it's there.
There is. They can get.
There you are. There's one.
If they're big fans, they can get the Japanese version. That's the Japanese version, which has got an extra bonus track on. But you got to get that from Japan. Otherwise, just get it anywhere in England or America.
Anywhere you want. It's very reasonably priced, and it's got a picture on the front, and it's.
What more do you need?
If you're lucky, there's a CD in it as well. I think if you pay £1 more, then it's signed.
Anything else you want to mention?
Follow us on all of the socials. Get involved with the Bad Day Blues Band. We're on Instagrams. We're on there, and we were on the YouTubes.
Yeah.
Facebooks.
Bad Day Blues Band released Table by the Wall on the 5th of February 2021, and I'd like to thank Adam and Nick for joining me for this interview.
Thank you.
You're very welcome, Trace. Pleasure to meet you, and apologies for being late again.